Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spanish Night Radio. I'm your host, Enrique Sanchez. This afternoon, we have a very special guest. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Elizabeth Yang. I'm an attorney in the community and also currently serving as the mayor of the city of Monterey Park.
Welcome. Thank you for being on the show, Elizabeth.
Yes, a pleasure is all mine.
I had the pleasure of meeting you last year when you were inaugurated as mayor, and then I saw you again for the opening ceremony in Temple City. So, explain a little bit of your background and what made you decide to become mayor of the city of Monterey Park.
I actually started my volunteer work being a city commissioner. In our city, we have about a dozen commissions, including the planning commission, the traffic commission, design review board. So over the span of 15 years, I served on four different commissions in our city. And as I'm gaining experience through volunteerism, I'm slowly learning about how our city functions, the different departments, all the work that goes into making a city work. And I'm also meeting a lot of leaders in the community. So after a few years, some of the more active community members started to ask me if I wanted to take a bigger step to serve in the council role and run for council. And actually, the idea first was planted in my head maybe 8 years before I actually ran. But during that time, it wasn't good timing because I have two children who are
Hmm.
now 15 and 16. So
Hmm.
8 years ago, they were 7 and 8, and they needed a lot more of my time and attention.
Of course, I
Yeah, so
see.
I didn't step up during that time. And in 2024, I was again asked, and this time my kids are older. They're no longer as dependent on me, and I had more time on my hands, so I decided to take the leap.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been following a little bit of your background. I know that you had founded like not a bar association, but a firm a couple of years ago, and you're also an author of a few legal books. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I started my law firm, Yang Law Offices, in 2016. So we're almost 10 years. And we specialize in business law, family law, estate planning, and also intellectual property law. And I've also published a few books along the way to share my knowledge with the public. Some of my books are about divorce law, and some are about estate planning and also entrepreneurship.
Nice. And are your books mostly paperback or are they hardback?
Some are paperback and some are hardcover. I have a total of 6 books,
Oh,
so
nice.
it's a mixture.
Nice. Maybe I could pick up one of your paperback books. I would love to read one of them.
Yeah, I'd love to give you a copy.
Definitely, we'll definitely talk about that, once we get off the show afterwards. So another question for Spanish United. As you know, we are a civil rights organization. We've been around for about 6 years. I'm the founder and director. We have about six chapters in the United States. But one of the things that we focus on is Hispanic improvement. And I know that right now in the United States, the two largest minorities right now are Hispanic and Asian. So I know that East LA is right next to Monterey Park. So I remember when I interviewed Henry Lowe a couple of years ago about seeing to emulate the progress of Monterey Park in East LA. So as mayor, like, have you ever met with Hispanic leaders or Hispanic leaders, that are within the community about the concerns about trying to bring the level of prosperity and economic development to the city?
Um, Not off the top of my head. I can't think of a particular Hispanic group that I've met with. So when you reached out to me, I was very excited, and immediately agreed to do this podcast with you.
Right, of course. No, no, the reason why I asked because, I go to Monterey Park practically like a couple times a month, and Monterey Park is one of my favorite cities. I like that it's very big, it's very safe. I remember Monterey Park was rated third in the state of California, not only for safety, but also a place to do business. Like when I always pass through Atlantic Boulevard, I always see a lot of economic activity at the Atlantic Times Square. And, it just gives me a lot of joy when I'm in Monterey Park. So another question I was going to ask in relations to infrastructure, like since you have taken office as mayor, like what have been the main concerns of the city of Monterey Park in terms of infrastructure?
Infrastructure, definitely getting some of our roads fixed. The Garvey Avenue Rehabilitation Project is one of the big things that I want to get done because Garvey Avenue is one of our biggest roads and it definitely needs a lot of rehabilitation and renovation. Also, getting some of our buildings and infrastructures fixed as well. There's a plaza that's very popular amongst new immigrants here called Fatty Ding Plaza. That plaza is on the corner of Garvey and Garfield, and that's undergoing a big transformation as well, which is almost finished. And then also, our Barnes Park pool has been a hot topic in the last year. Barnes Park Pool has been around for about 80 years, and it finally it's been under renovation for many years, but it finally got beyond repair in 2021. So it's been closed for the last 4 years, and it's our city's only Olympic-sized pool. So with the Olympics coming up, we definitely want to fundraise to be able to rebuild it. But it's not a cheap project, not a small project. So it's been a lot of work in progress in the last year, applying for grants to the state of California, hosting community meetings, coming up with a design that everyone in our community likes, a lot of those steps.
So Barnes Park, that's the huge part that's on top of a hill that's overlooking the Monterey Park Library. Am I correct?
It's right next to the city hall and our police department, and our city hall is right across the street from the library. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's all very close.
Yeah, I know where that is. I go there with my mom to do exercise, and I like to use my scooter to drive around there. It's very nice. It's very nice, especially when you see all of the Chinese people, like the older people that are doing Tai Chi and whatever. It's very nice. I That's why I like going to that park a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very popular park. It's right in the center of our city. So I know a lot of our community members don't want that pool to go away. Even if we fix Elder Park Pool, they still want Barnes Park Pool to be in place. And of course, we do have the naysayers as well, because everyone in the community has there's a lot of different opinions. So we have the pickleball versus tennis competition as well. They're always fighting for the courts. And we've had some pickleball players tell me that they rather build more courts than replace the pool. So lots of competing interests in our city.
What's pickleball? I've never heard that sport.
Oh, pickleball is I guess it's like a combination, like in between tennis and ping pong. They use a much lighter ball to play with, and the courts are smaller than a tennis court. So it's easier for older people to play. It's easier on the knees. They don't have to use as much force to swing the racket to hit the ball. And it's been a rapidly growing sport. One tennis court can maybe squeeze four pickleball courts. So we just converted the Barnes Park tennis courts. There used to be three tennis courts. Now there's one tennis court and I believe eight pickleball courts. So those courts, if you are walking by that park, it's always packed with people lining up to play pickleball. Way
Really?
pop, yeah,
Well,
way more people playing it than tennis players.
I just learned something new. I didn't even know that sport existed.
Yeah, yeah, come out and try it sometime.
Yeah,
I
definitely,
find it much
definitely.
easier than tennis.
Definitely. I think that would be definitely good for my mom because I'm trying to get her to be more active. So I think that would be a good sport for her to play with me.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, the true tennis players frown upon it. My own kids are tennis players, so they weren't very happy when they saw that two of their courts got converted to pickleball courts.
I could imagine. I could imagine. And another question to you, Mayor, is the also the issue of housing. As you know, housing is a big concern for many people in the state of California. So, as mayor, have you overseen or have you approved like new permits to build like affordable housing? Because I know that Monterey Park and many cities in the San Gabriel Valley are trying to open up like affordable housing for people.
Yeah, we definitely have a serious housing shortage in our state of California, and the state does offer incentives and also mandates requirements for each city to build affordable housing. We do have several proposals for affordable housing in our city. The issue is sometimes like there was one proposed development, but with affordable housing, the state requires like around 1.5 parking spaces for a two-unit, two-bedroom apartment,
Mm-hmm.
or two-bedroom condo. And usually, if you have two bedrooms and you have two plus people living in there, each person in LA usually drives one car.
Right.
So if you only have 1 to 1.5 parking spaces um, in the parking structure, that means the additional cars are going to go on the streets. And that's going to impact the other neighbors' street parking, which is already pretty scarce.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we want affordable housing in, a lot of times when we have these proposed real estate developments, we have a lot of residents complaining and protesting it too.
Yeah, I think a good way to solve the issue of parking. This is my opinion as an outsider, is that when affordable housing is approved, like they should make like extra parking. Like I don't know how much space Monterey Park has, but I know that when I was in Japan, for example, um, space is much more scarce than California, believe me, you know. But they tried to make do with whatever space they have. So maybe they could make parking that goes underground, you know, for people who have more than one car. That would also conserve space. At the same time, people will have more parking.
Hmm. Yeah, the problem is they have to really consider costs and underground parking. Whenever you dig underground, that really increases the cost of building. We had, for example, a commercial mixed-use project that was supposed to be built. It was called Celadon, or it is called Celadon, and that's on the southeast corner of Garvey and Garfield. That lot has been vacant for the longest time. And so they were going to build commercial plus residential, which includes affordable housing. But after all the permits got approved by the city, they looked at the numbers and they realized it wasn't going to be profitable. And now they have to go and change and revise and go through the whole approval process again. And so while they're working on that, the lot continues to stay vacant, which doesn't help the city. But a lot of times with affordable housing, it's hard for the developers to make a profit.
Hmm. Of course, you know, and again, I'm definitely for profit, but I do believe that that you know that people that need affordable housing, you know, in my opinion, they should have be given the priority because they're the ones that do work, you know, to give these, you know, developers money to make affordable housing, you know. And again, that's just my opinion as an outsider.
Yeah, a lot of things to consider, right? It's got to be a win-win situation, a win for a community, a win for the developer, and a win for those who need housing.
Exactly. And also another question in terms of public safety. So as mayor, have has public safety gone up, or has it stayed the same? Or, how is the current climate when it comes to public safety in relations to crime?
I would say compared to a year or two ago, it's been better. Um, Back then, when we had the previous DA and we had these rules in place where if you steal $950 or less, you don't get any kind of consequences. I felt like there was a lot more theft and robbery during that time.
Hmm.
Nowadays, our city, we've implemented a website called Citizen RIMS, RIMS, and we're actually one of the first cities in the San Gabriel Valley to implement this software. It has a lot of good information on there for our community members to keep themselves safe, for neighborhood watches. It will tell you where certain crimes were committed and who committed them. So we know what to watch out for if something happened on our street. It keeps the residents in the know. And also, our police department increased the number of flock cameras in our city as well. Flock cameras are able to capture license plates, and the information is only used for our local police department. When the mass shooting happened in our city 3 years ago, they actually used the flock camera system to track the murder from Monterey Park to Alhambra and then ultimately to Torrance, where he ended up taking his own
Hmm.
life. But if it wasn't for the flock cameras tracking his license plate, it might have been very challenging to capture the suspect.
I remember that. I remember after the tragedy happened, Spanish United went to where the dance studio was at. We went to go pay our respects. I remember that was a very horrible thing that happened. So yeah, I really commend you for increasing the security, because again, we cannot 100% prevent crime, but we could find ways to prevent it from happening. That will save a lot of lives.
Absolutely. And because of that incident, we're actually building a permanent memorial to honor the victims who died during the mass shooting. And that memorial is going to be put up next to one of our parks, Garvey Ranch Park in our city. So that just got approved by council a couple months ago.
Oh, nice, awesome. I will definitely would love to go and see the memorial.
Yeah, it's a beautifully designed piece. There's going to be 11 trees signifying the 11 lives that were lost, and there's a beautiful trail to walk and um, remember what happened. And it's on a hill, so there's a beautiful view. And there may even be a dance area too, because this happened at a dance studio, and a lot
Right.
of the families and friends are dancers.
Are you aware of they're gonna also make it kind of like a shrine?
Um, Not like a temple shrine, but there is a structure. It's like a half circular structure, sort of like a doorway that you can walk through. So yeah, hard to describe it with words, but there are pictures on the city's website, and I can direct you to it later too.
Yeah, sure, sure. And another question we also wanted to ask, which is, we were very concerned about. We recently heard about the data centers that have been popping up. So can you explain a little bit, what you're able to speak on the data centers and what they are and what they represent?
Yeah, absolutely. The data center at 1977 Saturn first came on the council's agenda in November 2025, so just a few months ago. And we got concerns from the community through written communications and phone calls. And on the first week of December, we spoke to the data center applicant, and they agreed to host community meetings to address the residents' concerns. So we took it off the agenda to give time, about 2 months' time from beginning of December to end of January to host community meetings so that everyone can have a thorough discussion about this topic. which council meetings are not a platform for this for community discussion. It's mainly for public comments, but no back and forth question and answer format. So January 21st, we came back, and at that point, we were very I'll speak for myself. I was very disappointed that no community meeting had been held by the applicant as they had previously agreed. And I voiced my concerns publicly at the hearing. And I just got word this week that there's going to be a community meeting held this Saturday, which is tomorrow.
Hmm.
So, I mean, this should have been held, I would say, almost 2 months ago, beginning of January or end of December, but it's being held very late now, the end of February, and I don't know how it's gonna go tomorrow. So we'll see. I've heard through the grapevine there's going to be a lot of protesters there. We'll see what happens tomorrow. There's two sessions tomorrow. It's going to be at the Barnes Park Service Club. One session's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The other session's from 2 to 4 p.m.
Yeah, let me know. Keep me posted. We would like to know what's going on with those centers because I remember that when they first came out, from what we've heard, the data centers originally, they were like AI companies that wanted like to like how would I explain it? They would like to map out areas, supposedly like to buy a property. That's what I heard originally those data centers' purpose was.
Mhm. Yeah, they spent $39 million acquiring the property in 1977 Saturn. And it's going to probably cost another 400 million dollars to build it. It's a 250,000 square foot uh, data center that's being proposed. So yeah, I know everyone has a lot of questions, concerns. I have a lot of questions, concerns, but um, I'm not invited to tomorrow's meeting. I didn't get an invitation, so I'm not planning on going. And it's very last minute, so I already have other things in my schedule. But I would have appreciated some kind of presentation or more information about this project. Um, because right now, given how it is, I only know, what's being passed around through the grapevine.
Of course, of course. And as mayor, you should be the first one to get an invitation because it's going to be made in your city.
Yeah, most real estate developers meet with, they can't meet with three or more council members under the Brown Act, but they can meet with me one-on-one, and many of them have reached out to me one-on-one. HMC, however, has never reached out to me to meet in person and go over the project in detail with me. So to date, that still hasn't happened.
Well, I really hope that they reach out to you and it gets resolved. So anyway, we've come to the end of our time. I wanted to tell you, Mayor, thank you so much for being on the show. And for all of our listeners, Spanish United is on all social media platforms. We are on Spanish United, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and known as X. On YouTube, we are a nonprofit organization. Any donation that one gives is to help someone in the community, and you can reach out to me, through direct message. And again, Mayor, I want to tell you thank you so much for being a guest on the show. When I'm finished, I will email you the link, and you could share the interview with all of your colleagues.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for this opportunity.
Likewise, have yourself a good afternoon.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.